Welcome to another video from Lockdown Electronics with me, Bill, and today we're going to make a start on looking at the EKCO U143 AM receiver, shortwave, medium wave and long wave. And I've obtained this radio off eBay, so I'm going to be looking in the back, seeing what we've got, and hopefully going to be restoring it to working order. It's my first attempt at something this ambitious, so this is going to be a several part video, I've got no doubt at all, and we'll just have to see how we get on. I may succeed, I may not. Now the EKCO Company made radios from the 1920s right up until the very early 60s, and the company got subsumed into somebody else eventually, but EKCO were a British company started by Mr. Cole himself, and he was involved with the company right up until the early 60s. So it's a fairly straightforward radio design, 5 valves, and so we've got RF, we've got the IF, we've got detector, PA valve there, and a single phase rectifier, a UY41. Now this radio came in two versions. There was the AC version with a transformer and the DC version with a dropper resistor, and the version that I've got is the AC and DC version, so it has the dropper resistor, which means the chassis isn't ground, so I'm going to have to be pretty careful where I put my oscilloscope probes if I'm checking out for signals, so I'm just going to be wary of that. But the case is in nice condition, and hopefully I'm going to end up with something that works okay. So let's make a start. So here is the cabinet of the EKCO U143. It's a 3-band AM radio, long, medium and shortwave, and Bakelite case, and I have to say that the Bakelite case is actually in nice condition, which I'm quite pleased about. The other thing that's quite encouraging is this grill here is actually also plastic, not quite sure what sort. The dial glass is also in nice condition, and if I turn it around, as you can see, it's I've also still got the original knobs as well. All of that will unscrew, so I'm hopeful that this is going to clean up quite nicely, and I'm hopeful that that isn't a speaker cloth, that's plastic, so hopefully that's gonna come up nicely too. So it should be nice looking radio when it's finished. The back isn't quite as good. Got a slight problem there in that's broken in half, so I'm going to have to fix that somehow, but we'll find a way to do that. So that's the outside, and the inside, well, let's have a look. Well, here we are with the internals of the EKCO U143 AM radio, and as you can see, 5 valves, another one hiding behind there. That's a choke to do with filtering. There's a loudspeaker output transformer underneath, and we've got this is the AC/DC version, so it's got the dropper resistor here to drop the mains voltage down for feeding the valves, and there is a 6-volt tap for the valve heaters and also for the 2 dial lights. So as you can see, somebody's very kindly put stickers on, say what the valves are, and it's reasonably rusty. Actually, tuning capacitor still moves okay, and that seems alright. Underneath, you're going to see a classic example of 1940s capacitors, but also one or two modern ones. So here we've got lots of waxes, quite a lot of waxes. They're going to have to go. That's a very ancient electrolytic. There's a double can electrolytic there as well, but a lot of this stuff is going to have to go. But then there's some of these modern components here and here and here. Modern in the sense that it's probably probably 1960s, maybe late 60s, maybe that sort of time. And it's quite obvious that some of this wiring isn't original. That's a fairly modernish potentiometer. It's quite a different value to the original. And a little bit more exploration against the circuit diagram, and it becomes very obvious this has been somewhat modified. The most obvious thing there is that potentiometer is clearly different, with a different, there's a plastic mains lead which wouldn't have been original, but on top here there is another pair here of IF transformers. It looks like they once lived in a can, but they don't anymore, and this is just held in place by its wiring. If you can see, it actually moves. So that's a completely new addition done by somebody. So I was fortunate, the lady I bought this off on eBay, actually this was belonged to the family, belonged to her grandparents, and then eventually was handed down to a father, their son, who was apparently involved with radio in the army, and I suspect the modifications have been done by him, presumably to improve selectivity. It's long wave, medium wave and short wave, so I guess it's for that reason. Now I have a circuit diagram, and it's a relatively straightforward design. It's a single superhet with 5 valves, valve rectification, and quite a lot of the circuit diagram I can recognise here amongst the components. But obviously these additions, I clearly have no circuit diagram for them, and I think I've probably bitten off quite a big chunk here, shall I say, because proceeding without a circuit diagram, I'm struggling a bit. I'm not that much of an expert with valves. But the dilemma is, do I try and restore what I've got here, because it's actually better, or do I return the radio to original condition? And I think at the moment, the way I'm thinking is, I'll probably return it to original condition. I've got most of the components now, and I've got a few more on order, but although there's quite a lot to do, it should be a relatively straightforward job, if time consuming, to actually replace all the components with modern ones that need replacing. Obviously lots of capacitors need to go. I've been fortunate, I've actually managed to obtain a can shaped 32 plus 32 microfarad capacitor for there, so that'll look nice sitting in there. It's not silver, it's a black one, but that's fine. The getter on the valves looks okay. I did, when I first got it, very gingerly run it up on the variac with the dim bulb current limiter, and I did get some crackling out of the speaker, so clearly something was going on. I couldn't receive anything, but it certainly seemed to be doing something, so I think that's a good start. So obviously that's going to end up going wherever that fitted into the circuit chain, and we're going to be back to the original setup. But hopefully I'm going to be able to do something about that. The speaker, certainly that's seen better days, and there's evidence here that the speaker's actually been repaired before. You can see there, and she's not in great condition. Does actually work. So I'm thinking I might be able to do something with that. I'll just clean it up carefully. One good thing about it, which I've not got here because it's a bit large to sit here on the bench, is the case. And the case is actually in nice condition, so I think it's worth putting a bit of time into the radio, because I think I'll end up with something nice. Presumably that should be good as long as I can get it working. So I'm sort of viewing completely rebuilding it to the original design, or to the original circuit, as slightly daunting, but I think as long as I'm careful and systematic and get a circuit diagram and mark it up so I know where I've got to, I think that ought to be possible, hopefully, and I think I'll be quite pleased if I can do that. So that's my plan. I've been checking a few of the components here and there, and quite a lot of the resistors are actually still okay. That dropper resistor, that big wire round dropper resistor, checks out at exactly the correct resistance according to the circuit diagram. There's a dropper resistor comes off the rectifier diode here, and that's also pretty much bang on the resistance that it's supposed to be. So some of the harder to obtain components actually seem to be alright. So there we go. This is quite a job for me, quite a challenge, but I'm sort of looking forward to it, and it's nice to have found out a little bit about the radio's history from the person I bought it off as well. So there we go. I'll have to see where we get to with that. Okay, well that's it for part 1 of the EKCO U143 restoration, or hopefully restoration. We've seen what we've got now, and decisions required as to whether I completely refurbish it in original or whether I actually try and include those modifications. So we'll just have to see what happens. So look out for the next episode. If you've enjoyed this video, it'd be great if you could click the thumbs up. If not, click the thumbs down. Either way, also be great if you could subscribe and tell others about the channel. It's definitely a journey of exploration for me, and hopefully we're going to get a good result. So see you next time.